Superman woke up superhuman.
Hey boys and girls, how's it going? We're back at it again with another article. This time, Fire Force's next season, it needs to cool it with the sexualized violence. And for most of us, we kind of sit here and we're like, what are you talking about, sexualized violence? I'm gonna make this one a little bit shorter, man, than the last time that I went and talked about an article. And pretty much what they're talking about specifically, they are talking about two little incidents in Fire Force, or pretty much like that. That's what they use like as their example here, is the fact that they didn't like two little scenes, man. Like in this case, it was early on in Fire Force. I believe it was episode. Which episode did they say it was? Oh, that's right, in episode 8, right? It was when Tamaki, when she was getting beat on by Rekka. And, you know, Shinra comes in and stomps his face in and whatnot. And they kind of had a problem with that. Reason being because, you know, like, because they put a lot of detail in making you feel sorry for Tamaki. And the person who was writing this, it's like, who is writing this? This is by Hannah Collins. Well, that explains a lot, right? Miss Collins goes on to pretty much say that this is, where was it? Oh yeah, that's right. She says that leaning shonen series, the attacks the attacks are just beams of energy or other intangible forces. Fire Force exists in a world of pyrotechnics. And yet Rekka's attack on Tamaki is mostly bare knuckled with the camera lingering on her swollen and bruised face for unsettling amount of time. Well, man, for those of us out there who actually watched Fire Force, every character, which I have to explain now, is that every character in Fire Force who is a pyrotechnic, their power comes out in very different ways, right? Whether like that, you may create, like whether you can control the heat in somebody's body, whether you can outright control other flames, you can control the burst of flames, right? It's very limited, but it's the very situational things, which is pretty interesting, right? Right? Women to where that some of them even go so far as to some characters being able to like freeze things. So that in itself is actually pretty interesting, right? Right? And Rekka's whole thing was like, hey man, I could throw a bunch of powerful fire punches. So this whole thing here is kind of silly when you understand that that's how he uses his power. Now, mind you, this still isn't sexual violence, but I'm like, in terms of how this is kind of played out, right? You know, like that. She also goes on to say that this kind of leads on to episode 9, where that Shinra was fighting Rekka, and then he kind of accidentally burned away Tamaki's clothes, and you know he got smacked into her breast like once or twice. Now, I mean, this is arguably like not so cool, possibly because of the fact that, well, now tension, pacing, and that kind of thing, I can't say like I can understand that, right? But like to call it outright sexual violence, yeah, I don't agree with that, because of the simple fact that, hey man, like I said, like these, because like the scene prior to this is like a guy like setting children on fire and turning them like into fire monsters, because like he believes like that they have some type of hidden power within them or some kind of crap, you know, something of that nature. But so I kind of took that as a means to, hey man, we are trying, man, to kind of like ease this down, because we were just killing children, man, like in the previous episode. Not meant to mention almost every episode where people's loved ones and families, man, like, you know, like getting turned like into fire, say like into fire demons and having to be murdered, you know, by man the local authorities, man, like through mercy killing. So it's kind of silly for you to say that, right? And then pretty much they go on to talk about which episode was, oh yeah, episode 21, where that's our beautiful character here, Lisa, and pretty much I believe it was Dr. Giovanni, a former captain of Company 3, right? He ends up fighting the captain of Company 8 and also their chief engineer Vulcan, right? They end up fighting them, and then pretty much, you know, like he kind of uses Lisa as a shield, but then, you know, like he pulls her head back, and then like her breasts are pronounced because that's sexual violence, you know, even though technically isn't. It's just camera tricks, man, to kind of emphasize, hey man, her head, man, is being pulled back, you know, and it's very painful. So, you know, like. So, man, you know, like, that's what breasts do, man. When, like, you know, you pull, say, man, like, man, you pull a girl's body back, right? Her breasts kind of lift up, but, you know, whatever. You know, so they kind of call this sexual violence. And also, fun fact on top of that, right, is the fact that they also had a problem with the whole thing of Vulcan and Obi managed to outwit Giovanni, leaving Lisa to fall bridal style into Vulcan's arms, right? Right, a move that couldn't be more distressed damsel if it tried. Which again, if you watch this show, you would really understand, man, like that whole scene, it fit perfectly because of the simple fact that wait a minute, is this a character who has all these powers and has these mental scars and whatnot, and Vulcan is supposed to be, man, like their anchor and their rock and whatnot, and then like when they left, even though he doesn't have any powers, he may risk life and limb, man, to pretty much save her. With him actually saving her, I would think, man, like that the whole, man, like distressed damsel thing, man, will be very much appropriate. Somewhere around here, she was talking about Shinra being able to walk around with a sword in his stomach. But the weird thing is that because like she was talking about the whole like Tamaki thing of Tamaki not being able to fight or something like that. And I was like, you can't look at what Tamaki was doing against Rekka. Oh wait, it was when she was talking about Tamaki and Rekka saying, man, like that she couldn't fight him off and everything because like she was distressed, but like Shinra could actually fight off Sho, man, because, you know, he had a sword like in his stomach. And I was like, I don't think you get the situation there, right? Tamaki like really cared for Rekka to the point to where like that she saw him as like an older brother, and it's like, yo, like this is my older brother. I can't raise my hand to him. I can't hurt him because I respect him. So Shinra had to come and save her. When Shinra's fighting his brother Sho, right? Like that's his brother. I am here to save my brother. What part of this do you not get? You know what I mean? It's very crazy, and it's very interesting how, man, somebody can say, man, how, man, two people can watch a series and one person just doesn't get something. It's very crazy to me. And honestly, I'm not talking about, man, like a few things, you know, like you represent a power or something. I mean, like you literally like just don't understand the situation. You know what's actually funny about this though? Because again, because I say like that, they don't understand. Because they go on to say that in general, Fire Force does a huge disservice to all of its female characters in the first season. There's a wide variety of personality types in the show. So how's this a disservice, right? She-Hulk-esque Maki to the seductively sadistic Captain Hibana to the sweet demure sister Iris, all of whom are vastly underutilized compared to their male counterparts, which technically to a certain extent, right, they use Maki a lot. like Maki beats up a lot of people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that they use Sister Iris, man, like for all the praying and everything. Hibana, man, like after like she was introduced, right? She was virtually in every other episode. So how are they vastly underused? Or underutilized, right? Because technically, if you really want to know somebody, man, like who is underutilized, it will be Obi and pretty much Hinawa. That's pretty much who it would be. But hey, man, you know, I just watched the show, so you know. Hibana, for instance, is the first captain from another company that Shinra encounters, and she's introduced as a potential villain. A couple of episodes are devoted to showcasing her significant pyrokinetic prowess, as well as her shared backstory with Iris. But once Shinra effectively tames her, Shrewish says, she merely becomes a passive observer assisting Company 8 from the sidelines while crushing on Shinra like a love-struck cheerleader. Compare this to the male captain Benimaru, who is introduced in a similar vengeful manner. Later on, he received several episodes where like he demonstrates every opponent, where like he dominates every opponent opponent he comes across, Shinra included, and becomes an essential mentor for Company 8's new recruits. The differences are black and white, madam, right? Because again, Hibana, her thing is like that. She's from a research company. Her her whole thing is like, hey man, like I love research, I love this and that. Once I get it, it is mine. I don't share it. That's kind of, man, why I like that, man. They go through this whole thing, right? So yeah, apples and oranges, right? You know what I mean? Benimaru, a captain, man, like of a company, man, like that doesn't trust any other company, and man, like it's his own little thing, right? And it's like, hey guys, I'm gonna, man, say, hey man, like I handle this stuff, man, on my own, right? Why would they do that when Hibana, when she was introduced, she was introduced as a very selfish character. When Benimaru was a thing, spoiler alert, Benimaru was already shown, man, to be one of the strongest fire force officers, because of the fact that he's a second and also a third. So why wouldn't he dominate everybody? Are we watching the same show? Ultimately, the women of Fire Force are left with little to do other than act as a peripheral props, or in case of Tamaki and Lisa, disposable bodies, to be simultaneously beaten and lusted over. Perhaps it's too much to expect from the shonen genre, which has never had good at putting female representation at the forefront. You know, this word here, representation, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Simple as that. Because obviously you don't understand it, you don't want to understand it, and pretty much you kind of are just man, putting, man, you are putting your own weird little agenda, man, like up there, because, man, like, okay, you saw a girl beat up beat up the guy, you saw her save herself or whatever the hell, right? What does that prove? Nothing, right? Because these things are already set up. If you cannot follow that, then why are you watching the show? These are things that I just don't get. These are things I don't understand. But I will leave it at that. Please tell me, what do you think about this in the comment section. I will catch you guys on the next John Grave Show. Keep watching anime, keep playing video games. I'm out.